really interesting to me is that if you had told me 5 years ago how I approach exercising and how I approach correct form, correct movement patterns, and correct technique, there would only be one way per kind of exercise. I wouldn't say anything to anybody in the gym. I would just be quietly observing by myself, maybe a little shake of the head. And I would never go over and tell somebody that they're doing something incorrectly, because I don't really believe in that. They can kind of learn through their own faults. And one of the exercises that I used to have this reaction to was this kind of exercise you're seeing on screen. Now, on first look, you can go, well, this is a bench press, Joseph. This individual is trying to develop their, pec major and, not stress their shoulders, not stress their anterior delt. You can see in this movement when my elbows are very, very flared out. And in a conventional bench press, they should be tucked in a little bit more, right? But this is not a bench press. This is a guillotine press. Now, the advantages of the guillotine press are to really start to develop that upper shelf, that upper chest area, anterior delts, and really kind of develop that aspect of the upper chest fundamentally. And it's very quickly becoming one of my favorite exercises because I'm starting to build that mind-muscle connection with the muscles that I'm fundamentally trying to develop. So as my preface, an exercise is only ineffective dependent on what you are using it for. Some people actually are doing exercises incorrectly if their goal is to injure themselves. Obviously, that's not a good goal to have. But if the objective here is just to develop the upper chest, the anterior delts, and that shelf to give yourself that definition here, and this is a really, really valuable exercise that I would have you do. The way I use this exercise is flaring the shoulders out a little bit more. To be honest, my grip isn't as wide as I would like it to be in this particular exercise. You can really start to feel the fibers in the upper chest here stretch and develop and really put some tension under play here and really get that hypertrophy response that you want in that particular muscle. I do not enjoy the bar path that is going on in this particular this video right now. I think I'm not doing a very, very good job. But I think this is a fantastic exercise. I think you should go very, very lightweight. I'm not anywhere near what I would bench with this particular exercise. I'm really just trying to connect with the mind and the muscle and incur a hypertrophy response in these particular movements. I would never classify myself as a bodybuilder. And actually, interestingly, in this video here, I've got my friend who would classify himself as a powerlifter. So his objectives are to move the bar. What am I doing? To move as much weight as possible, irrespective of kind of the technique. Of course, the technique is definitely going to be important here. But you can see the differences in your kind of training approach. If my objective is to build muscle, then the weight and how I move the weight is secondary to the muscle that is contracting. In this individual, my buddy over here, his primary aim is to move the weight and the muscle as a system in order for him to move that particular weight. So it's something worth knowing. I'm definitely not, I would never classify myself as a power lifter or a strength lifter. Not that I don't include elements of that in my particular training, but I have such a background in incurring a hypertrophy response, probably more from a vanity metric if I'm going to be absolutely transparent with you. But also I find that there is less injury risk involved when you're doing bodybuilding as opposed to powerlifting. I did tweak my back when I was younger, when I was doing very, very heavy sets of squats. That does scare you, especially as you start to get older and older. And I feel like when you're reducing the weight and you're just focusing primarily the movement, it's a really good aspect to train resistance, train relatively heavy. I mean, you're probably going 70 to 80% intensity in terms of your lifts. But again, the weight is not important here. It's all about the stress that I'm putting on my muscle. So I switch it up here and I go to an incline bench, which I never do, by the way. I just don't feel that I have a good stretch at the bottom of this. because the bar, you can see the bar stopping just on my upper chest, and I'm not allowing my humerus to really get down to the lowest range or the highest range of its motion. And I also find racking the barbell here fairly difficult, especially on this particular machine here. You know, if you're throwing it back, you can see I'm a little bit cautious of throwing the weight back. I start to superset with a little bit of chest flyers as well, which I feel really allows me to build that mind-muscle connection, not with any heavy weight here. I'm really just trying to build that upper pec section. You can kind of see a little bit of definition there in how the muscle is contracting relative to the weight that I'm using here, trying to get a good stretch at the bottom and bring my pinkies. I really like focusing on my pinkies when I'm doing this kind of movement, because that's where I feel the connection really comes for me when I'm doing this particular exercise. I just realized how douchey I kind of look while I'm at the gym, actually. So no need to comment it. So we're going on to another set here, guys, and please forgive me with these styles of videos. This is something that I'm trialing out, and I don't believe that I got the sets succinct, like set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4. But in many ways, I take every set as a completely new opportunity to stimulate the muscle in a different way. I might add more weight. I think I added some more weight in this particular exercise. You can change the rep ranges. You can change the tempo. You can change the eccentric. You can change the concentric. You can change the volume. You can change so many different aspects of the movement that you're doing in order to incur a different hypertrophy response in the muscle. And that really is bodybuilding 101, is you want to put your body in different stressful situations in order for it to adapt in a new way. And I train in a fairly unique way where most of my sets don't really look too similar as per the parameters that I've mentioned. I'm always trying to change it up and find different ways to kind of surprise my body. There'll be many sets where a lot of people will think, you know, you go like a pyramid. So you start off light, you add some more weight, then you add more weight and more weight and more weight. Sometimes I'll do very heavy second sets, and then I'll go lighter on the third set. I'll go heavier on the fourth set, drop the weight down again, add more repetitions. And that way you're always giving your body a different stimulus in order for it to adapt and develop muscle and grow and meet that outcome of you fundamentally building muscle, which is the outcome that I'm really working at the moment, especially in that kind of upper clavicular aspect of my chest and also anterior delts. Speaking of anterior delts, actually, my anterior delts are fairly developed because I do a lot of handstands. And what I'm really trying to do here is take my delts out of the equation and purely focus on the upper chest aspect of the movement here. And what really helps when you're trying to achieve this is full retraction of the scapula. It's always, again, very challenging for me to unrack this particular barbell in this particular rack. So I'm really, again, I'm trying to, one of the cues I like is try and tuck your scapulars in your back trouser pocket. And when you retract them, you bring the shoulder as far back as you can, and you allow your chest to kind of flare out and take most of the weight here. You can kind of see fairly good contraction on the upper aspect of the chest here. And again, a look of real worry as I'm trying to rack the barbell back up here. So I wanted to do these new style of video, guys, to kind of give you, I suppose, in-field footage of me doing the work, being consistent, being congruent with a lot of the stuff that I am preaching as per my book coming out hopefully very, very soon. And, show you not just the nutritional aspect, the supplementation aspect, but more of the lifestyle aspect as well. The training, the exercise, all the things that we have to do. If nutrition is only 50% of the equation, the other 50% of the equation has to be that hormetic response. Hormetic response being this notion that you need to introduce your body to a stressor in the form of exercise, in the form of how many reps you do, the volume you do, the weights that you choose, and allowing yourself to feel that stress response, damage the muscle, micro trauma is the actual term, to really start to elicit that growth response that we want in the body. Now I go back here to conventional dumbbell press, which is one of my more favorite aspects of an incline pushing pattern. And the reason why is the barbell doesn't stop at the chest, and you can really focus on getting a big stretch at the bottom range of the movement as well. I'm not going very heavy here, going very, very light, and this is my third, I think, fourth exercise. So I'm really just trying to focus on the movement pattern here. Noticing the gimbal is going absolutely wild. Let me know what you think about the new camera tech here, guy. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of this particular shot, because the gimbal seems like it's struggling trying to find equilibrium. So sorry for the whiplash that I'm giving you here. And you'll notice some of the postures that I'm using. I'm not really planting my feet here because I don't want to rely on leg drive to do this movement. Again, I'm not trying to lift heavy weight here. I'm trying to use the muscles as a tool in order to synthesize and elicit a growth response. And you do that by putting tension on the muscle and you know, keep that tension up as much as you can. This is one of my favorite triceps movements, guys. This is, in my personal opinion, something that a lot of people are missing from their routine. The advantages of this kind of movement is the position of the humerus, so the upper arm. Now, most people will view this and say, Joseph, you need to be keeping that elbow in a fixed position here. I disagree. You'll notice the slight bit of, what would you call that, extension of the humerus actually still has some tension on the tricep, okay? I think this is a fantastic exercise. The setup can be a little bit tricky. Just remember when you are moving up to the cable rack that your either right butt cheek or left butt cheek is pressed up against it and you're hinging at the hips. Do not put your butt crack in the middle of the railing there, because that is very, very suspect. And last but not least, I tried a interesting shot here, top down, of a Smith machine close grip or medium grip press. So a lot of pressing movements in this particular training day. And I know a lot of people don't like the Smith machine, but I think the benefit or the value of each machine is relative to the individual that uses it. You can see individuals who use the Smith machine very, very poorly, but you know, a bad workman will always blame his tools. Use your tools to your advantage. Find what's working for you. There's been many times and many different occasions where I've set up an exercise that on a good day I'm feeling relatively well, but on a bad day it isn't working, so I need to throw it away and I need to exchange it for something else. It's all about finding what works for you, and again, being mindful of when things aren't working, just because, you know, maybe for sake of habit and pattern, and trying something new. Remember, if your goal here is bodybuilding, variety is going to be your best friend here. So I'd implore you to use them. Let me know what you think about this new style of video, guys. I am going to do a lot more of these, irrespective, actually, of your opinion, because I enjoy doing them. They're very, very valuable. And I'm sure they're going to be valuable at least to one person. And I will continue doing that, even if it's just one person. These are not theories. These are facts. Speak very, very soon. Take care.